Hey everyone, I'm Will.
And I'm Caleb.
Welcome to the Retrek Review Podcast, a podcast where we talk about every single episode of Star Trek chronologically. But here's the best part. Caleb hasn't seen a single episode.
What is Star Trek? Is it like Star Wars? I've seen Star Wars.
So don't click off this video, because if you do, you won't see Caleb's unique view of what the episode we're about to watch is.
I hated it.
You heard it here. Computer, begin program.
Increase to full power!
Gives me the creeps. I feel like something's watching us.
Savick, you go right on quoting regulations.
Hello, computer.
I knew I would.
You betrayed your uniform!
Target their cargo hold. Time to take out the garbage.
Smooth as an android's bottom, eh, Data? I beg your pardon, sir.
Aspires to be better than I
Come on, it's gonna be fun.
5 years in space. God help me.
This is the best day of my life!
A phaser? You didn't use it?
Swords are fun.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Welcome back to another Retrek Review, where each week we talk about Star Trek. And this week we're talking about Star Trek The Next Generation, and specifically Season 2, Episode 4, which is entitled The Outrageous Okona.
Let me tell you, he is outrageous, dude.
It originally aired December 12th, 1988. It was a teleplay by Burton Armis, and it was a story by Les Mention and Lance Dixon and David Landsberg. First and last.
First and last, baby. First and last.
The synopsis for the Outrageous Okona was the Enterprise crew rescue a roguish freighter captain whose ship is malfunctioning, but his presence drags them into an interplanetary feud.
Yeah, that's putting it nicely.
It is putting it nicely. Then we had some guest appearances. Right off the bat, we had William O. Campbell, who played Thadian Okona. Now, he's a memorable actor. He played Luke Fuller on Dynasty for a number of episodes. He also played Jordan Collier on the 4400. He also played in the AMC television series The Killing. He played Dr. Alan Farragut.
Oh.
But probably most notably that everybody knows him from, he played the Rocketeer.
Oh. Yep. Yep.
Then we had Douglas Rowe as Debin, Albert Stratton as Kushel, Rosalind Ingledew as Yanar. We had Kieran Mulroney, who played Benson, which was the young kid. Kieran Mulroney, kind of funny. He's in another episode of Star Trek that you've seen, Star Trek Enterprise, on the episode entitled Fortunate Son. He's the helmsman of the freighter that Travis used to be on. And he's just one of the shipmates when the Nausicaans are attacking the freighter. And he's one of the guys who is fighting.
Yeah.
He's just in a hallway. Then he wrote and directed Paperman, which is a 2009 comedy drama with Jeff Daniels and Ryan Reynolds and Emma Stone. He wrote Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. That's the Robert Downey Jr. movie. The second one. He wrote that. He also did the story of the 2017 Power Rangers movie. But most notably, And again, what everybody would know him for. He is in the Seinfeld episode The Implant, and he plays Timmy, the famous character who rebukes George Costanza for double dipping his chip at the funeral reception.
Yes, that's great.
Then
What a
we had
legend.
Joe Piscopo, who was a comedian at the time. He had been on Saturday Night Live from 1980 to
I re
1984.
Yeah, I
And
recognize that guy.
he's been in a number of films um, throughout Johnny Dangerously, Sidekicks, things like that. He's been
Yeah.
in a lot of movies. He
Is he
played the
funny in
comic.
those?
We had Whoopi Goldberg as Guinan, and then uncredited, but there's no way not to talk about her. We had Terry Hatcher as BG Robinson or Transporter Chief. And
Hmm.
Terry Hatcher famously she's in a lot of stuff, but she's famously in two big shows, which was Desperate Housewives, where she played Susan Mayer Delfino for 180 episodes. And the one that I personally know her from, she played the 1993 Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. She played Lois Lane in 87 episodes.
Hmm.
That's a TV show with Dean Cain that was on like ABC in the mid 90s.
Yep.
So those are our guest appearances. A lot of information there, but that's okay. That's the fun part of the episode. But before we move on to supporters and new subscribers to the channel, let's go over to Caleb and ask Caleb what he thought of the episode.
I think what happens is like when I initially watch it, I'm like, oh, this isn't bad. And then like after I let it like stew for a while or I sleep on it,
Yeah.
I'm like, hmm, I don't think so. I don't think I like this one. So I like Okana more than I thought I was going to, which might be a surprise to some people.
Okay.
It's not a terrible episode. There's some stuff in it that I enjoy, like always. So I'm gonna keep it as a Roddenberry this week.
Okay. Hey, there you go.
Keep it in the middle, you know?
Like didn't quite like it, and I didn't quite dislike it. Yeah.
I'm happy with the way it ends, and it's not just like, oh, see how sexy this guy is? He just goes around and sleeps with everybody on every planet.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And it was like, oh no, that's not actually really what happened. He was actually trying to help two people, like a Romeo and Juliet.
Right,
And
right.
you're like, oh, that's nice. But
Yeah.
he still did stuff with the crew, and it
Yeah.
was like fine.
Yeah.
And even Picard was like, I don't give a damn you came in here and did my crew. I want to know why there's two ships out here.
Yeah,
I was just
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh, okay. I gave you complete access. And they weren't giving him access to the ship, and the next thing you know, he had complete access to the ship,
Yeah, yeah.
if you know what
Yes.
I mean.
I do, I do. Apparently
If
that wasn't he wasn't limited to those type of things.
no, 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 no. No, it's just cringe. It's just cringy, but
Yeah.
it's 80s television. I really enjoy the data stuff.
Okay.
So for me, the main plot this week is Data learning comedy, and the subplot is this weirdo that they take on board.
Well, this will be interesting. This will be fun because this is other than like Angel One and Code of Honor, where they were either overtly, horribly racist and or sexist. I hated this episode.
Yeah,
I really, like, really did not enjoy it.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see
I
what you pulled away from it. So
I don't think that you're wrong. If I'm being honest, I don't think that that is the wrong opinion. I think this is a bad episode. I think I'm just nicer usually.
yeah, and I think the pull away is there are things in the episode that are totally fine. Like what you said was fine, is fine, and I don't disagree with that. But there are some things in this episode that
Mhm.
I was like, I kind of found I just like literally couldn't get over it. I couldn't get past it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, even like I said, even the main subplot with Data is funny. It's interesting. It's an interesting concept, but
It is.
but it's really not funny, and I really don't enjoy the comedy stuff, if I'm being
No.
honest.
Yes.
But I get it, and I enjoy the concept of Data he thinks like comedy is what separates him as a human.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, that's an interesting concept. I enjoy that. Yeah. Yeah, the ability to find humor and laugh at things. I like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah, no, it's a great deep dive into his character, and Brett Spiner is always good at it. So
I love when somebody like it's like Data, that's a joke. And he's like, oh, yes, of course it is. I find that very enjoyable. I don't understand why like everybody immediately was like, who is this handsome rogue? Like everybody.
I don't know.
Wesley was enamored by him.
Yeah, I really have no idea. Well,
Oh well.
before we get into the review, let's first right off the bat, yow! Thank Ed Mark Starr for his Patreon support.
Yeah.
We
He's the
also,
comedian that keeps our ship afloat.
well, he definitely helps keep our ship afloat.
He doesn't do any Jerry Lewis impressions.
No, he does not. No, he does not. And he fixes all of our broken, overused parts.
Good.
So we appreciate him for that. And we also had a new subscriber to the channel, and that subscriber's username is Nethelus.
Hmm.
So thanks for subscribing,
Warrior.
Nethelus.
Yeah. One of us, one of us, one of us, one of us.
And because Ed Mark Starr is a Patreon supporter, he gets his comment read during the podcast. And on our Elementary Dear Data review, he left us a nice message. Here he states, I may have to make inroads to comic book fans. My online search for old Superman stories is linking me to Marvel, not DC. Even image searches are failing flat. I'll keep trying. The 1960s was my comic book phase, and I had quite a collection by 1970. Then my mom ordered a complete room cleaning.
No, no.
Yeah.
So he can't find that comic he was telling us about last
No,
week? That's crazy.
I know. Yeah. I kind of looked it up too, and I couldn't really. I found things that were close, but I don't think they were the things he was talking about. It just didn't
Hmm.
seem like it. Up next, Fun with Data. Brett Spiner and the TNG staff saw Data as the perfect subject for character exploration through roleplay. While I find all this to be entertaining, it does not appeal to me as material for a science fiction series. Author Alan Asherman, in his book, The Star Trek Compendium, published in 1981, detailed all the amenities axed from the original series that make a starship special. A starship has a banquet hall, official reception rooms, theaters, schools, recreation facilities, 10 forward, and a holodeck. For the next generation, the budget was extended to include new sets, but only a few new sets, controlling costs in a cornerstone of series television. Elementary Dear Data indulges Brett Spiner's role playing for Data and the overuse of the holodeck. These elements should have been used sparingly.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Asherman mentioned how the economics of television production can limit the production staff into a repeat cycle of ideas, even to the reuse of previous scripts. And then he concludes, I know that there are Trek fans that can't get enough of Data, but personally, I find that a little Brett Spiner goes a long way with me. This becomes more problematic as the series progresses. As for now, Elementary Dear Data was entertaining, but only on a first glance basis. Upon close inspection, problems arise. Thank you, Daystrom Holodeck, for another excellent episode, Autopsy. So yeah,
That's funny.
he's not a huge fan of Brett Spiner and Data, which is
Huh.
interesting.
Yeah.
I've never really encountered somebody who enjoys Star Trek, but Data is not their jam, and that's fine. But just
Yeah, that is
interesting.
interesting. Yeah, I don't. That's funny.
And I can see it because if you're just looking for like really good science fiction storytelling and Brett Spiner is playing an android, he kind of typically is like either really goofy or
He is the Vulcan replacement and also the comedy, you know, to overtone for the show. And it's like it doesn't. It's weird that it does both. You know,
yeah. So it's
I
like
can
I
see
can
that.
it's like I'm a huge Data fan. I love Brett Spiner playing the role. So it's like, I see both sides of what he's talking about here, but it's just really interesting that when I was reading it, I was actually like, wow, okay. I've never really come across somebody who doesn't like that episode and also doesn't like the episode because of Brett Spiner. And it's like, okay.
Oh, that is interesting. I agree with the like overuse of the holodeck. Like the whole
Oh
episode
yeah.
was kind of like a one-off thing. And
Yeah.
I always say, I don't know if it's necessarily true, but I always feel like if the whole episode is on the holodeck, it's just a way for them to be like, well, we don't really have any space stories this week to
Oh
tell.
yeah. 100%.
I mean, you can only meet an alien in space so many
Yeah.
times.
I mean, yeah, to both of your points, like you're gonna sit down and watch Star Trek where it's a ship in space where it can find anything in space and do anything in space. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, we're gonna go to computer simulation in this android
Hmm.
who's an amazing piece of creation, and this guy who has like crazy tech on his eyes so he can see. They're just gonna play Sherlock Holmes and Watson and like walk around in London.
Yep. Yeah, what's wrong with
So
that?
I totally understand where he's coming from. We'll have to see what
Yeah,
other
I
people
do.
say in the
I
comments.
do. I get it. I get what he's saying.
Well, as always, if you would like your comment read during the podcast, make sure you go over to Patreon and find a tier that best works for you. We do have tiers as low as $2, where you can
Yeah.
watch Caleb and I talk about Star Trek unedited.
Yeah. And the other thing that we don't ever really talk about is like you guys get cool stuff if you do that. You get
That's
some
true.
cool stuff. You get some hand-drawn stickers by me,
That's right.
and they're pretty great. I mean,
Yeah. That's the
wish
$5 tier. That's the
I wish
$5
I had some stickers.
tier.
But yeah, we have some cool stuff, and they're different every month. So every month is a new
That's true.
sticker based off of something that we've either talked about or something that we've found funny from the episode. Yeah,
Rarities. They're rarities.
they're rarities. Yeah.
But Patreon isn't your jam, then you can just wait a day and we'll talk about your comments on the channel on our series, Hailing Frequencies Open. But without any further ado, let's get into the review. So the episode starts off. I don't know, how did you feel about Data doing the over explaining thing again, like immediately?
You know what's funny is I used to like it, but since like from our office pointed it out, I I really pick up on it more now.
Yeah, it is more noticeable. Yeah.
Isn't that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's right by any means, because I'll never admit that, but it does seem like now that it's been brought to my attention, it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I like that really. There's a lot of things in this episode that he was confused by, which doesn't make any sense. It's unless you tell me that they just decided to negate like the first season, which is fine.
Oh,
But
no, they didn't negate it, but they totally just were like,
they
nobody
did,
watched it
right?
apparently.
Because
Yeah, yes.
they was very confused by certain things. Sometimes I was like, yeah, but you did okay. That's fine. No, never mind.
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting and weird. So Worf suggests like that Okana or Okana, whatever. He suggests to the Picard that he should have limited access to the Enterprise. And then Picard's like, yes, that I agree with that. And I was like, so if Worf didn't make that suggestion, that wouldn't be implemented? I was like, wouldn't
Nope.
that just be the case for anybody who's non-Starfleet coming onto the Enterprise? Wouldn't that just be implemented like at all times?
No.
Be like, no, I don't think he should have access to everything. They're like, oh, well, yeah, that's a good point.
What are you, some kind of jerk? Give him
Yeah,
full access to the ship. Give him the names of all female staff, and call them if there's an emergency.
yeah. Also, the whole thing where he the whole thing where his ship is like he's flying it manually, and then the Enterprise like just loomingly sits like above, and they're just like, wait to talk to him. Just wait.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till he gets closer, and then we'll talk to him. And I was thinking, if I was him and I was in my ship that was like breaking apart and I was had to fly it manually and I'm barely holding it together, and then this huge starship appears, I would
Yeah,
be like, oh great, this is gonna go really good.
yeah.
Also thought it was interesting that they have Picard be like upset slash jealous or like annoyed that Riker was like smiling at him, and then Picard's like, what's going on? Do you think something's funny here?" And then Riker's like, "No, no, no," kind of thing. I was like, that's
Yeah, it's weird.
kind of weird.
So last week, Andrew joined us, and he didn't want to do this episode.
Nope. Nope.
So I immediately understand why.
I
And
was like, "Hey, do you want to join?" He was like, "Sure." What episode? I was like, "Oh, I think it'll be 3 or 4." And he looked at what they were, and he was like, "I'd rather do 3 than 4." And I said, "Oh, okay." I was looking at more like weeks than what the episodes actually were. And so then I looked at the episodes, and I was like, "Oh, well, yeah, he loves Sherlock Holmes, so I'll get him on 3." And I'm like, "Well, what is 4?" And I looked at it, and I was like, "Oh, yeah." But at that point, I wasn't like, oh, this is trash. I just remember being like, oh yeah, this is like a weird episode. But that's all I thought.
yeah,
And then when I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, this is not the best.
can't believe Andrew left us for this one. How could he? So I kind of had low expectations going in, kind of from that. And also, I think he said last week, he's like, yeah, they kind of make it's like their version of Han Solo, basically.
Yes, yes.
Oh, and it,
I was
it pretty much is.
I
Yeah.
was gonna ask you at the end of the review, so I'll just ask you now. Like, do you feel like this is what he was supposed to be? Like, do you think he was supposed to be a response to that?
I don't know. I don't know if I think he like specifically was, but I think he was just supposed to be that type of character, like this suave smuggler.
Yeah,
So yeah, in a way.
maybe in a way. Yeah.
I tell you what though, as far as smugglers go in Star Trek that we've seen, this one is a lot better.
He is definitely one of the better smugglers.
Yeah. So he's not Cyril Jones, and that's really all I care
Yeah,
about,
that's all that
really.
mattered.
Yeah. Oh.
So we have the very repeated trope of a person asking for you to hand over all your weapons, and then you do, and then they're like, "No, you clearly have more," and then he hands another weapon,
Oh.
and it's fine. It just always makes me laugh. They're trying to set up that this guy is like really smooth and like, he
Hmm.
always is trying to get out of situations and he gets caught. He finds himself in situations that he always needs a quick
Yeah.
getaway kind of a thing. Yeah. But it also makes me laugh because as we see in the episode itself, the transporter chief knows if he has weapons on him. So it's just like you don't even need the part where Worf's like, "Okay, buddy, cough it over. I know you got more." It's like, no, dude, you know what he has on him because they scan like you materialize with all of these things on you. It's like they know what's on you.
Yeah. Oh, she knows what's on him.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
So when he like hails them for the first time,
Oh yeah.
So first of all, he has visual of the bridge,
Yep.
and Deanna's sitting right there, and he hears like the female voice. He's like, "Do you have women on the ship?" They're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, that's cool." And I was like, right off the bat, I was like, "Oh my God, here we freaking go! This will be great." And it was. I was right.
I always assume that because there are certain things even in this episode doesn't make any sense. I always assume when Worf puts Picard on screen, it's always like this, and he's just
Yeah.
talking. He's just like real up close with him because it's like later in the episode, like Okana is standing right over to the left of Picard, and the two guys are yelling. It's like, can you not see him standing right there?
No, because then they address him for the first time when they come on board. And like,
Right.
oh, there you are, you slimy dog. Maybe the
Yeah.
bridge is like,
It has to
I don't
be.
know.
It has to be. That's the only thing that makes sense.
But explain that. Explain it to us. We don't know what they see if we don't see it.
But how about that great cringy scene when he comes out of the transporter room after flirting with Terry Hatcher for a bit, and then he's like, "Now that's sex appeal." And he looks right over at Wesley, and Wesley's like, "Mm-hmm."
I was like, I like everything about you. This is a
Uh,
cool guy. I'm glad my mom's not here.
yeah, right, exactly, exactly. But like you
Yeah.
said, the forced laughter bit was great when he comes out and he's like, "Oh yes, a joke." Ha 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 ha. And he's like walking down the
Yeah, I do enjoy that. I think that's funny.
but then they immediately from season one they flub, like you say. He's like, "What about you getting drunk, Data?" And Data's like, "Yeah, that can't happen." And I was like, "But we saw in the Naked Now, you totally get drunk."
That was a virus.
Everybody.
Also, I don't know if it was right at this moment or maybe it's down the line a little bit where Data's like, all right, so we're at this room that you requested to go to. I don't understand why. And then the transport chief that's her room.
Right.
And Data's like, I don't even understand what they would have to be doing together. And it's like, Data, you're like he's oh
Right.
God, how do I even say? He's fully functional.
Yes.
We've
Yeah.
we've already established this.
Yes.
He had a night with Yar.
Right.
He understands that. So even when he was like confused by like sex appeal, he's like,
Yeah.
"Well, robots don't have sex appeal." I was like, "Yeah, but I don't understand what we're doing here."
I maybe he was just disgusted with the transporter chief. Was just like, "Oh, well, why would you ever?" I don't know. I really don't know either.
It's weird. It's weird. I don't really get how they just keep going back and forth on things. They establish these things, and they're like, "Well, it'd be funny if Data didn't understand it this week." It's like, well, yeah, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
not though because
So Data's an android. He knows everything. He's super intelligent. He has 9 different definitions for the word that you're giving or synonyms or whatever.
yeah,
But then it's like, yeah, but he doesn't know what hot dogs are. And you're just like, okay.
yeah. Why would he?
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because
I
and then perfect example. So like at the end of the episode, he says something, and everyone laughs, and he's like, "Why is that funny?" And he's like, "Searching, searching. Oh yes, the
it
whatever,
burns down.
the
Yeah.
Rat Pack, circa 1945. Oh, it's still funny, interesting." It's like, okay, so if he can search comedy
Right.
routines from
Just in his mind.
1945, why can't he just like understand perfume from the 1800s being created and all the way to 20,000?
No,
Nothing. No idea.
no idea.
That's what I mean. They play too back and forth with his like character. It's not
Yeah.
consistent.
And it's probably likely to Ed Mark Starr's point. Like some in these, especially these seasons, first 2 seasons, he's just a thing to serve the plot and or like the scene. He is just written to be like, well, this would be funny if he doesn't understand this thing. So there you go, write that. And it's like, oh, but does that contradict anything that they've already established? Like, doesn't matter.
It's just a punchline,
Right, exactly, yes.
and that's not. That's not
It's
funny.
not. It's not. But we get to see your favorite, and you definitely were super excited about it, a Vulcan in 10 forward.
Whoa, what a crazy person.
So
Yeah.
the funny thing I wrote in my notes, I don't remember what it was. Oh, Data says the thing, and then Guinan's like, because you are a droid and I am annoyed. And he's like, oh, I know, right? And
Uh-huh.
he's like, was was the joke funny? And she's like, yes. And then I wrote down in my notes, for the record, the joke was not funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I laughed at it just because everything else was so not funny.
Yes.
This episode.
It like what she was doing was funny. Like that was funny. Like the interaction between Data and Guinan about the joke was funny. But the joke itself, if I just said that to you and you hadn't seen the episode, you wouldn't be
Yeah, I
like,
would be
"Oh,
like,
dude,
get it.
that's hilarious." You'd be like, "That's so stupid."
Why are you annoyed? Mm-mm. I like their interaction with each other this episode.
Yeah.
I thought they were fun together.
Oh yeah, yeah. Whoopi Goldberg and Brett Spiner are great together in this episode. Like they go back and
Yeah.
forth really well, and I like that she treats him just like a person. She doesn't like treat him as like
Mhm.
he's a weird robot. He doesn't understand anything. She treats him like he should like no, like you should understand this type of thing. And that was nice. I enjoyed.
He's like the only one that really wants to like help him
Right,
this
yes.
episode.
Yes. But this next part is what literally like destroyed me from enjoying like anything subsequently from
Uh-huh.
anything for going forward in the episode. So I knew in the trailer we had seen, I had remembered the episode parts of it.
Uh-huh.
But when he goes into like the comedy club and Joe Piscopo is there,
Yeah.
it was like, okay, yep, I remember this guy isn't really funny in the episode,
It
sadly.
goes
Like,
off the
because
rails, yeah.
I'm sure in real life he was kind of funny. I mean, I know him from Saturday Night Live and some other things, but like other than this Star Trek episode, like I don't really know this guy.
Yeah.
And I just was like, okay, great. He goes through, he's talking about everything. He's nice to Data. Like he's I appreciate him sitting down and like explaining things to him, and it was
Well, he's
fine.
supposed to be. He's a computer program.
Right, right. And it was fine. And I had really no problem with their like interactions when they were first talking to each other. And then I don't know. Even if you hate Jerry Lewis, I don't know
I
how anybody would think that's what Jerry Lewis did.
Jerry Lewis.
No, you're so high.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
I feel like if you hate Jerry Lewis, just watch The Bellboy and your opinion on the man will change. It's like the best movie he's ever done, and it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
But him putting the teeth in and going up onto the stage, and then he just like yells for minutes.
Well, he acts, mentally,
Yeah, yeah, I
and
know.
it's like I don't understand. I don't get what this is doing. This is not. This is like, why are we doing this?
It was so painful. It literally like grated on me as I watched it. Adri was doing something else, and I literally paused the video like late into the episode. I paused it and then rewound it and like showed it to her, and she was just like, "What is this?" And I was just like, "Yeah, exactly." She's like, "This is terrible. This is awful." I was like, I don't know what anybody was thinking when he does that. I don't know what anybody in the room, even Brett Spiner, was like, "Nice work, buddy."
That's pretty funny. Yeah, it's a bad scene, really.
It was almost like what the computer, like if Chat GPT was now it's 300 years in the future and it just looked at all of Jerry Lewis's filmography and then distilled it into like one or two noises, what would that be? They were like, go,
Just
and like that's
nailed
what he
it.
did. It was just like all set. All set. I want to absolutely beat it to death, but I won't. But it was awful.
It was bad. Yeah, it was really bad. Patreon's not your jam? Then don't worry, we also sell ham.
Retrick review ham.
Yeah, that's true.
Daystrom Holodeck ham, and it's just like, is it real? Is it fake? You'll never know. Yeah. I also found it eye rolly when Picard makes the joke to Riker that they'll surrender to the two ships that are coming up, and Worf is like, ugh. And I'm like, oh, because he's a Klingon, you can't joke about surrendering. I'm like, okay, yeah, we get it.
But your Klingon flies.
Yes. The Glob 5 thing was funny. Yeah.
God, fuck.
But the thing that you always talk about, and now I look at Worf through that lens, because I sadly am always looking at Worf through future lens, but now looking at it through yours, it literally makes no sense that Worf has been raised by humans at a very young age, and he's a Starfleet officer, and yet he's like, ooh, stupid. Warriors do not let it. It's just like,
Yeah.
dude, you're not. That's not what you
You're
are.
not a Klingon, my dude. Also, don't forget, like that didn't even change until he became security officer.
True. True. Well, this is the halfway point, so go down to the comment section and write your best joke. That's what we'll take. Yeah, so we talked about the glob fly bit. That was good. The thing that really made me laugh was the scene where Picard is talking to overcoms to get Okona back to the bridge, or well, to the bridge, and then he's like, Mr. Wolf. And then it plays like this intense music, almost like Darth Vader coming on to the Tantalus 4 or something, whatever the thing
Yeah.
in New Hope. And it's like, he comes out of the turbo, like, dun, 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 and then I was just like, is he gonna kill the guy? Like, it was really
You come with me now. Try it. Yeah. Not really good. That's not really a good line either. He's like, well, it'll only take a couple minutes. And you're like, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, looks like she's not missing out on anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The thing I thought was strange is like, okay, maybe she's not an officer. Maybe she's just a civilian on the ship, like a family member on the ship. It's
No,
like,
they said specifically it was all crew quarters.
and that's fine because she's a part of the crew, but it doesn't necessarily mean she's a Starfleet officer.
Oh, is that how they?
It could be because she's crew, right? There's crew on the ship, which doesn't necessarily mean the Starfleet officer. The thing I still don't understand is, regardless of what her position on the ship is, or what she does, or anything of that nature, she can hear Picard over the overhead. Like, he doesn't have a comm badge on, so it's not coming through on his comm badge.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
coming
yeah.
overhead on the room. And she's just like, I don't care about that. Like, what? Why would you not care that the captain is looking for this guy? Like, I get that maybe you're very happy and like involved with the guy in the moment, but at the same time, like,
Just to ignore the captains.
yeah, I don't know. I just didn't get it. It's like, well, he's so handsome and wonderful that I'll ignore what the captain's saying. Oh, okay.
I like his ponytail. Yeah, I don't know.
No one does. Okay. Then the second part happened. He goes up to the bridge. Picard's like, okay, tell me about what's going on here. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Nah, I have no idea, sir.
And he's like, you don't know why this guy wants you? And he's like, not at all. Nope. And he's like, what about this guy? And he's like, no idea. Don't know any reason. And you're like, okay. So then they're talking to him, and it goes to commercial break, right? Another ship appears, and they go to commercial break. Okay, it's like, okay, come back. Picard, in his captain's log, states that whatever the guy's name was, Debin or something, whatever the guy's name was,
Mm-hmm.
is like invoking this arcane fatherly thing to be upset with the fact that his daughter is pregnant and the person has like absconded. They've left. And you're like, okay, that's arcane. Okay. Like I don't really know what you mean by that, but okay. And then he's sitting in the chair and he's like, counselor, your advice. And she's like, well, what they're arguing about is about procreation and things of that nature. She goes, it may be meaningless to us, but like it's very, they feel very passionate about this.
Uh-huh. What's wrong
And
with
and I was like, so what are they trying to say? Are they trying to
that?
say
Mm-hmm.
that in the Federation, it is
Yeah, it's free love, baby.
meaningless to all members that if a person fathers or mothers a child, that they can be absent from the relationship because society is perfect and single family homes like don't exist anymore? Or is it because no one cares about what you do in your personal life and so your choices don't really affect other people? I don't know. I'm not trying to make it like a giant political modern day issue, but just the morality and like psychology behind
No, it's
like
stupid.
fathering or mothering children and then not having anything to do with that person and or your child is like, how is that meaningless?
Yeah, it's just a bad phrase. I take it as like society is perfect,
Okay,
therefore nobody would ever do that anymore. So if she just didn't say pointless, I think is the issue.
maybe.
She would have just said something like, "Well, that's not a thing that we have to like worry about anymore in our society."
Yeah, or like, yeah, like, yes. If she said, like, yeah, we don't deal with that anymore, or like, yeah, whatever, like anything to explain that, like, yeah, society isn't like that anymore, like, families stay together. Well, that makes sense. But for her to be like, it's
Mhm.
meaningless,
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
makes it sound like it doesn't
what?
really matter. You can just do whatever you want in their perfect society.
Right. It was bad. I didn't enjoy it.
The whole scene is so stupid too, where he's like, "What? So what are you accusing him of?" And he's like, "Well, I'm not gonna tell you about it. That's personal. That's a personal matter." And then finally, Picard like asks for like the third time, and he's like, "Oh, well, fine. I'll show you. I'll show you what he did." And he like he yanks his daughter on the view thing. I
Yeah.
look what he did. As the audience were like, "Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
that
he
makes
does that.
sense. We've seen him do that."
He's doing it with all the ladies on the ship, apparently.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
also, is he a really nice guy? Because he like flirts with the transporter chief and then goes to her room. And then when they're trying to find him again, he's in a completely different woman's room. And it's just like, haven't you been on the ship for like just a couple hours? Like,
hmm Yeah, everything about it's stupid.
well, there's no better time than now to get into trivia.
Oh, not again. All right, now you're overacting.
So, executive John Pike gave the thumbs down for William Campbell being casted as Riker. Rick Berman said that John Pike said that William Campbell didn't have a sense of command and that he wouldn't follow him into battle.
Wow.
So he originally auditioned to be Riker.
That was cool. I think they made the right choice.
I think so too. According to Joe Piscopo, he was allowed to improvise much of his own jokes and dialogue as the holographic comic, including the Jerry Lewis impersonation.
Yeah, no kidding.
He said this is from a 2011 interview, and he basically the interviewer was saying, we know that like in Star Trek, you have to be like letter perfect and you can't go off script. So like how did that really go if you're saying you had a lot of room to do stuff? And he was like, no, they didn't actually hold me to anything. They just let me do what I wanted. And I was
Well,
just like,
he's supposed to be a comedian.
right. But like the thing that doesn't help him, this reveals that all the stuff he does in the episode is almost has nothing to do with the writing staff and has everything
No.
to do with him, which just makes him look
Hmm.
atrocious as like a comic.
No, it's 100% one of those things where they hired a comedian and they're like, so you're going to be a comedian. So just do that. Like, we're not going to do anything about it, which makes sense, you know, which
Yeah, oh,
you
yeah,
would
yeah.
do. But, if you had a better comedian, probably it would be better.
And that was the thing I read is that they said that despite William Campbell being on the episode and being like the main drive of the story, because right, he's the A story, the producers only cared about Joe Piscopo. They were only focused on like what
Mhm.
he was doing and what he was saying.
Well, that's a mistake.
Yes. But apparently Jerry Lewis himself was approached to play the comic in the episode, but there was a scheduling conflict because he was on another guest role of a TV series called Wise Guy.
That almost makes it sound more like that's why he made fun of him.
It's possible. I also read that Whoopi Goldberg's manager and his manager were maybe the same person, so like that's how they got him on there. It said
Oh,
he was popular at the time, but it's like I don't know. I really don't know. You can see it in the remastering of the episode when Data is at the holodeck terminal and he's asking for comic names. The name that finally appears before he goes into the holodeck comes up as Ronald B. Moore as the comic's name.
mhm.
And that is a reference to the visual effects supervisor who helped assemble the graphic. So that's pretty
It's
funny.
also funny because he could be more funny.
He certainly could. And then the last bit of trivia was Okona's freighter is the Tellurian freighter model reused from Heart of Glory, which itself was cobbled together from models used in the V miniseries at the time and that Disney movie in Epcot or whatever called Captain EO, that Michael
Hmm.
Jackson
Yeah,
Epcot thing. So,
that's cool.
yeah. So that was trivia this week. We come back. I really found Troy to be annoying this whole episode, pretty much,
She's
because
horrible.
she just repeated everything that was obvious.
I just don't understand what they do with her character. Like,
I
I
don't
just
either.
don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, she does nothing. She does nothing.
No, and I know, and that's what's crazy about
Ah,
it is there's a couple times where the guy gets on, either father gets on the screen, and he's like, "I demand Okana, and I want him now," and blah blah blah, and all these things, and then Picard's like mute, and he goes
um,
over to her and he's like, "Counselor," she's like, "He's angry, and what he's saying he believes." You're like, "Uh, uh,
oh,
oh, okay."
well, that is very handy. Hmm. Yep, he feels strongly about wanting his daughter justice.
Like, oh,
Oh, interesting.
okay.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that from.
Yeah, and then later in this later scene, the children and the fathers are going back and forth. Like the truth is coming out, right? Like they're
Hmm.
revealing what's really going on. That like Okana didn't, he's just smuggling them to either planet and all this stuff. And it does a hard cut to Picard and Troy standing there, and Troy's like, Now we're hearing some truth.
Finally, some truth.
And I was like,
Like,
what?
hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That's
did you get hit
yeah.
in the head or something?
Uh,
Maybe you should go see the doctor.
it's just so basic.
It's
She,
literally the
she
Gwen thing from Galaxy Quest.
It is. Yeah, it is. I really understand that where they got that from.
So I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just it was painful. And then I
It's really
also just
stupid.
the whole concept of what they were saying, like it just didn't make any sense to me. He was like, "Oh, these two people love each other, and I have to smuggle them from each planet to the other planet, and they're doing all these things." And it's like, but I'm not sure if he loves me. I don't know. I don't know. It's like,
It
what?
was such a stupid thing for her to be. It was like the one time in the episode they gave like the woman the opportunity to have it be like in her
Oh,
control.
yeah.
You know, they're like, well, we can't. The whole episode's been very like anti-woman, so we gotta have her be like, no, I choose not to marry you. And then O'Connell was like, yeah, but remember like how I would take you to like his planet and he would go to your planet and I'd smuggle you. She's like, yeah, you're right. I will marry you. Like, oh God. Oh, kill me
Uh,
now.
and then also she was in the room when she learns that he took this like prized item
Hmm.
from his planet to like he was going to offer in marriage. Like she hears him say that.
Hmm.
And
What doesn't
then
matter?
30 seconds, a minute later, she's like, no, no, I don't
Nah,
think
I
so.
don't care. I don't care about the green jewel.
Yeah, exactly. Green jewel
The
mean
old
nothing.
la- the old lady throw the jewel into the ocean.
Yeah. I don't know.
Wouldn't Troy have been able to sense that like the two people like loved each other and that there was a
Captain,
big
I feel like these two people like talking to each other and that the passion that they feel, they believe it.
they believe that they like each other.
Oh, okay. I don't know how I feel about the ending. I'm glad that you liked the data bit at the end, but I don't know.
I like the ending for the simple fact that like they didn't make Okana be this just deviant that just goes around and just impregnates people and leaves.
I can agree that that was a
I was
nice.
happy that that wasn't the story.
I can agree.
I don't like Data doing the stand up in front of the crowd. It like makes me feel bad for him.
Oh yeah. Him saying "Take my wharf, please" was like, "Oh, that's funny because that's Rodney Dangerfield." But then you're just
Yeah,
like, "But it's not. It's
it's
not."
not. I get no respect.
Yeah.
Take my wharf. So stupid.
The thing that made me roll my eyes was they were like, it was Wesley, and he was like, "Okay, O'Connor, see you later," and he was like,
I don't understand why Wesley was so enamored with this dude anyway. And there was even that scene, remember, like when I forget where he was, but he was like, what do you think about Okana?
"Oh yes, yeah, yes, yes."
Dude, dude, grow up.
Yeah,
Like, I
it's
didn't
like,
get it.
don't you guys like Starfleet and the Federation? Like, isn't that what you're aiming for? Like somebody being kind of
Yeah.
reckless like he is, like that shouldn't appeal to you.
But he gives him like this full like, well, I don't think I'd ever want to be all by myself alone from all my friends
Right.
and family, having nowhere to go, being such a loser. I was like,
Yeah.
you're right, Wesley. I am a loser. I think I'll have to resolve this issue with this pregnant woman. Wow.
Well, anyways, that was the review. I know it wasn't probably fun to listen to, but it just was not. I did not enjoy it. So,
It was an episode and we talked about it. So,
it's true. This truly
yep.
was an autopsy because this episode was dead on arrival. But don't go anywhere because we're about to do the thing that everyone's been waiting for. So, Caleb, here's the award ceremony. And we're going to ask you who gets the Erica Ortegas Award for being the most unlikable?
That guy's daughter.
Okay. Yeah, Yanar or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
pretty lame.
Well, next is the Elizabeth Cutler Award for being the most forgettable.
The transporter chief. The real one, not the one that slept with people.
Oh, you're talking about Miles O'Brien.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, where was he?
He was sleeping. That's funny. I thought you were totally saying the famous Terry Hatcher is forgettable because she's only in a couple scenes, but I get it
Mm-mm.
now. I gotcha.
Yeah, no. No, it's like they only wrote him out of this episode so that the Okana could like sleep with him.
Yeah, true. Great point. Well, next is the Mugatsu Award for the best alien of the episode.
Worf. That was a thing. Every time they would scan the ship, Worf would be like, it's humanoid. Like, yeah. Yeah, Worf, this is Star Trek. Of course it's humanoid. Like, what are you talking about?
It would have been more fun if the alien people were like insects or something crazy, right? Like,
Anything would be.
and then Okada they were like, "Oh, did you do this to the poor bumblebee
You
lady?" And he'd be like,
Oh,
"No,
you
I didn't do
slept with this reptile woman?
that." You're right.
Hmm.
Then the audience they can't appeal to him because it's like, oh,
Sicko. Yeah, I remember him finally forever.
good.
First and last, baby.
Or is he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Next is the Trip Tucker Award for the MVP of the episode.
Data's the MVP of the episode.
Very good. It's nice that Brett Spiner still looks pretty good despite a not great episode. So,
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed him this episode.
yeah, I agree. Always an enjoy to see Data try to be more human.
Yes.
Well, next is the Spock Award for the best line of the episode.
I like the part where she says it's about timing, and he's like, I'm mechanical.
Oh, I'm digital. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, no, that is funny. Classic comedy.
Very good. It is a good part.
The only good part.
Well, next is the Shran Award for the best action sequence.
It's when he goes to the holodeck chief's room.
Transporter Chief's room.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And Data doesn't understand what's happening.
Data has no idea what's going on. Bow chicka wow wow.
And he doesn't do anything. He kind of just goes in there and just talks to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have like tea.
Well, next is the NX Award for some sweet ship stuff.
I liked seeing the other ships next to the Enterprise.
Nice. Yeah.
Gives you a good sense of scale. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. The thing that made me laugh was when Picard goes, hail them. And Worf goes, which one? He goes, what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he always gets these weird, like flustered, like angry moments.
Yeah.
He's like, what? What did you just talk back to me, Klingon?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, the two ships.
Oh,
yes,
yes. Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, yes, of course. The first idiot, I don't care. Like, oh, you're already on with them.
And then immediately he's like, just put it on conference mode. I don't
have time to be making these decisions, Klingon.
You stupid Klingon.
Stupid idiot. Just pick one.
Well, next is the Porthos Award for the cheesiest thing of the episode.
That's got to be the Jerry Lee Lewis bit.
Yeah. I don't even want to find the picture and put that up next to the thing.
Yeah.
Don't want to even do it. Yeah, right.
They just use me.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great. Next award is the Star Trek Enterprise Award for the best scene of the episode.
The best scene of the episode is when Data does the forced laugh.
That is a really good scene.
It is. It's the only good scene.
I'm surprised you didn't pick Worf trying to take on Okana in the room. I would enjoy that. But,
No.
yeah. But I get it. Data stuff is always good.
I don't appreciate Worf acting like a Klingon all the time.
True. Well, that was the award ceremony for the episode. We're grateful that Caleb struggle buses through it sometimes when the episode isn't as easy to assign trophies to, but that's okay because now it's your turn to let us know what you thought of the episode. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you want more of it? Or did you find Okona just a little too bit outrageous?
God. No, he's fine in the episode.
That's not what I have a problem. Let us know down below.
Next time on Star Trek The Next Generation.
Okay, next week's episode will be episode 5 of Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2, and that episode is entitled Loud as a Whisper.
Mm.
We're also slated to have a guest appearance from our Vietnam Capta RPG that week as well. So if you enjoyed Andrew being on, we'll have another person from our game review the episode with us.
It's going to be great.
It certainly will. But as always, if you liked our review, like the video. If you disliked our review, dislike the video. Share it with all your friends and family and Trek enthusiasts. Subscribe so you don't miss a review when it comes out. And ring that bell for notifications so that you can watch our review as soon as it comes out, which is usually Sundays. But after this video ends, you can go on over to Caleb's channel. Caleb is a fun prop channel, but there's also other podcasts of him and I talking about other things that aren't always Star Trek related. The original 6 Star Trek movie reviews are over there on his channel, but we also talk about things like Jurassic Park and Marvel shows and Star Wars.
Sometimes.
So if you like any of those things, make sure you head on over there, find a video, like it. If it's a prop video, leave a suggestion, a comment, subscribe so you don't miss an episode over there on his channel. As Captain Planet says, the choice is yours. We appreciate everyone who's following along. We thank you for all of your wonderful, fantastic, excellent things you've done down below here on the video that we're looking at. Wow, all of the likes, all of the comments, the fact that the subscription button says subscribed. It's grayed out and it says subscribed. We appreciate that. We look forward to hearing what you all had to think about the Outrageous Okona. We look forward to digging deep into that. Perhaps I am the only person who loathes the episode. I am prepared to be told how wrong I am.
I doubt it.
We thank Ed Mark Starr once again for his Patreon support. We couldn't do it without him. And we know that he doesn't do terrible Jerry Lewis impersonations. So
No. No, he does very good ones.
So Caleb, send us out.
Computer end program.
See you guys.
Thank you.